All right. I didn't hit record. Wait,
I think it was
wow.
set up automatically.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Yay. All right. So we are recording, and I just got a notice that my internet connection is stable. So we might unstable. So we might freeze for a second. Okay. So, Tim, you are a Medicare expert, and the reason I'm interviewing you is because I'm all about people being healthy. And one of the major stresses in people's lives is insurance and what does everything mean. And then we have people who are turning 65 and they're getting bombarded with information and they have no idea what to do. So, my goal for this, and I think you're the perfect person to ask these questions to, is to help people figure out what insurance means, what are they being, what are the questions, and what are the how can they navigate this incredibly confusing world? So
Yeah,
I guess to start with, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself and
sure.
why you do what you do and what you love about it?
Thank you. It's nice. Thank you for inviting me to do this. I'm excited
Sure.
about it. My name is Tim Robinson. I'm the life and health manager with Diederich Insurance, and I specialize in health insurance. And Medicare is coming. The annual open enrollment period is coming up, October 15th to December 7th. But what I've been doing this for almost 20 years, health insurance specifically. I don't sell home, and our agency does, but I do not focus on anything else. That's what I focus on. Um, I'm a local to Southern Illinois. Grew up here. I'm a Navy veteran. Spent 5 years in the Navy, and came back and kind of fell into insurance. But
Nice.
loved it. I was working in a newspaper and selling advertising, helping small business owners to grow their business. And that's what I did for 5 years. And then Diederich Insurance was one of our clients, and they were looking to grow and got recruited by them as I was helping with them with their advertising. And so they recruited me, and I came over and started with health insurance right away. Had a great mentor, Ron Gurman, and when he got out of the business, I kind of stepped in and took over that department. So that's what I've been doing for since
Nice.
2005. Yeah.
Nice. And
Um,
so you did give me some questions to ask. There are questions a lot of
yeah.
people have. And I have some questions as well because I take Medicare in my chiropractic office, and there's often confusion about what's covered, what's not covered, that kind of thing. And you know about some of that as well. And so uh, I believe we had talked about if somebody watches this, they get a benefit of jumping the line, right? To see
Yes.
you. Okay. Okay.
Yes.
And we're going to give you a code word at the end of this that you can just call Tim, reach out to Tim and give him that code word. And you get to jump to the front of the line because you will have already been educated on a lot of this stuff,
That's right.
right?
Yes, it gets
Okay.
and it gets really busy here. So jumping to the
Yeah.
front of the line can be important.
It could be really important. Right. Okay. So, first questions. Okay, you turn 65, you get bombarded with all this information, and we're going to go into details about some of them: Medicare Advantage, Medicare, all these things. How do they choose? What should they do?
Well, the first thing they need to do, and you're right, this is what I get when somebody comes in the door. Usually I'll get a phone call initially to set the appointment, and they'll say, "Can you help me? I have been bombarded with mailers and phone calls, and I see all this information on TV." And they have so much information that they get confused. They think they know what they're hearing, and they think they know what they're understanding, and then they hear something else, and then they get confused. One of the things I get a lot of is, well, I was told I have to purchase this insurance 3 months before I turn 65, and I have people calling me in a panic because they've waited, and they call me in, and they think they've maybe missed the boat, and they're going to get penalized some way.
Mhm.
But the way it's set up is that you have 3 months prior to your date of to the month in which you turn 65. You have 3 months before that and 3 months after that within which to purchase your Medicare. So you're not going to get penalized if you don't do it 3 months before. In fact, it's not going to start until the month in which you turn 65 anyway. So there's this window. that you have to start. And one of the things people ask me is that, where do I even go? Where do I start? And the best place to go is to your Social Security office, your local Social Security office. Go there, let them know that you're turning 65 and that you need to get signed up for Part A and Part B.
Okay, you have to
And
get
then,
signed up for Part A and Part B. What if you're not drawing Social Security?
yeah, it's a great question. I get that a lot. It doesn't, whether you are or aren't, you still want to start there. And what it is important that you let them know, because they may try to sign you up for your Social Security and get it started sooner. And you may be wanting to do that, or you may not. You may be wanting, maybe you're still working and you want to hold off a little bit on that.
Good
Yeah,
to
so
know.
you want to make sure that
Wow.
you're very clear with them that I'm just here to sign up for Medicare, or I'm here to sign up for both Social Security and
So you
Medicare.
start by going to your Social Security. Well, first you have to find your Social Security office.
Yeah.
How do you find that? Is that in your courthouse or
A lot of
where are
times what happens is no, it's not generally in the courthouse. There you'll be able to find, you can Google it if that's not your thing.
okay.
Usually what happens
Okay.
when somebody calls me, I look it up for them, depending on
Okay.
where they're at.
Okay, cool. So they can reach out to you and you'll tell them also.
Yep.
Okay. With a special code. So don't so just be clear when you go to the Social Security office, I don't want to start drawing my Social Security. I just want to sign up for Medicare.
Yes.
So they have to go there first and sign up. They'll sign some forms or something like that while
Yes,
they're
and
there.
that's how they get their
Okay.
red, white, and blue card that
Okay,
they're
the little
Medicare.
red, white, and blue card. Okay, I've seen
Yep.
those. Yep.
Yep.
Okay. Now you had said make sure you sign up for Part A and Part B. What does that mean? What's Part A and Part B?
Part A and Part B is original Medicare. Part A covers hospital, Part B covers medical. And those are Part A, most people don't have to pay anything for Part A. But there are some who might. If you're a highly
What is,
compensated person, you'll want to talk to the Social Security office about that, and they'll be able to help you understand if you need to pay for Part A or not.
what do you
But
mean?
most,
Like a premium or like
Mhm, like
a
a
monthly
premium,
payment?
yeah, like a
Okay.
premium, a monthly payment for it.
A monthly payment for Part A, and that's if you have a higher income.
If you've had a higher
Okay.
income over your career.
Okay. And then Part B, do you have to pay anything for that?
Yes, Part B, there is a cost. It's around $170 right now per month,
Oh,
right
wow.
around that amount. Yep. That's the
Okay.
general cost. Again, it can be slightly different for other folks. Just depends on your personal situation, and that's part of what you will be talking to the Social Security office about.
Okay. Are there and then Part B is medical. So I have a chiropractic office, and so in the chiropractic office, I take Part B, and
Yes,
so not Part A because Part A is for hospital. Okay, great. And then are there other parts besides A and B?
yes, and this is one of the things beyond all the information that people get in mailers or see on TV. They get confused by all these plans and all these parts because it's new information to most people. And
Okay.
so we just talked about Part A and Part B, that's original
Mhm.
Medicare. There's also Part C, which is the Medicare, another name for Medicare Advantage. And then there's Part D, as in David. That's for your prescription coverages. And then as we
Okay.
talk about Medicare supplements, there's Plan G and Plan N and all these different
Okay, I'm getting
plans
confused
letters.
right now just talking to you about that. So Part C is Medicare Advantage, and that's something that sometimes people want to get out of Medicare Advantage. I know when people come to chiropractic office and they have Medicare Advantage, there's often a higher copay. In fact, it's always
Yeah,
higher than the red, white, and blue card.
right. The red, white, and blue card, right. You're going to have a
Part B.
deductible and then
Mhm.
20% on your Part B, right.
Mhm.
Um, and that's really all you're dealing with there. But it is the people, when they get into a Medicare Advantage, you want to make sure that you understand what you're purchasing. A Medicare Advantage is essentially taking the place of original Medicare.
Part A
And,
and
and
Part B. So
yeah, and
Part C is taking place of Part A hospital and Part B medical.
because
And then you
and
just have Part C.
Medicare
Okay.
Advantage plans are private owned. Original
Okay.
Medicare Part A and B is a federal program,
Okay.
Medicare program. The Part C, the Medicare Advantage plans are private carriers who come in and offer coverage.
Okay.
that essentially takes the place of Part A and Part B. And most of those Medicare Advantage plans do also offer prescription coverage built in with those. And they
Well,
work
but it
a
sounds
lot
like you'd
like
have to check because you said most of them. So you'd have to do your due diligence and
you want to
check.
make sure
Okay.
that you know what you're getting,
Okay.
and the
Okay.
benefits can be different. There are zero premium plans out there,
Hmm.
and so you may not have any cost until the back end. But those where they get a little tricky and why sometimes people don't really understand what they're getting until they start using it or trying to use it is that there are networks just like you had when you were under age 65. If your doctor doesn't accept this coverage, you have to find a doc that does, or you're paying out of network, and sometimes those benefits can be really, the cost of those benefits compared to an in-network cost is
Wow.
quite a bit of a difference.
Where do
So,
people usually see the surprise in that? Would that be hospital visits or
a lot of specialists, a lot of
okay,
times when a doctor goes to see or a patient goes to see a specialist,
orthopedic
those
surgeon? Mhm.
yeah, maybe, well, for whatever it may be,
Sure.
that doctor may not be accepted. They may have been sent there by another doctor, but this doctor is not accepting this Medicare Advantage plan. And or the other thing that gets a lot of people, it gets frustrating for a lot of people on those Medicare Advantage plans are pre-authorizations. When they go see a specialist, they may have to get a referral to that specialist. They may not be able to go to the specialist they want to go to because that
Okay.
specialist isn't in network. And they have to
Right.
do all these, might have to do a pre-authorization. So sometimes they're waiting for a while to even hear if they're going to get to go
Things can
see.
get really bad while you're waiting.
Yes, I had a
Yeah.
phone call this morning from somebody who was they were in the hospital and they had to wait 3 extra days in the hospital or 2 extra days in the hospital, waiting for the insurance to decide if they could send them to this therapy.
Oh
Or
my gosh.
yeah, 2 extra days in the hospital just with the hospital doing nothing for. I mean, there was nothing for them to do. They were just waiting, but the
And then they
hospital
have to
wouldn't
pay for
release
that.
them.
Yeah. My goodness.
So, so yeah, they were on a Medicare Advantage plan and they were waiting on this
Okay.
pre-authorization. So they called me asking me how they can get out of this. So
Okay. Is AARP Medicare Advantage?
their AARP ties themselves right now to United Healthcare. That's the carrier. So they
Okay.
do have a AARP United Healthcare.
Yeah. Is that considered Part C or Part A, Part
Oh,
B?
did you ask Medicare Advantage
Yeah.
or
Is
did you ask?
AARP considered Medicare Advantage or Part C? Or is it?
No, it's not. They're not. It's not designated to that because there is an AARP Medicare supplement plan. So
Okay.
it's not, they're not tying themselves to one thing or the other. AARP is just an organization. They're not a carrier.
Okay. So when somebody has AARP, their AARP Medicare insurance, what is that?
It right now it's United Healthcare. AARP is kind of joined with United Healthcare in that way.
So what
They're
does that
their
mean for
name.
people who are on Medicare? Or is it Part A, Part B, or is it something completely separate?
AARP has nothing to do with Part A or Part B or
How about United Healthcare then?
yeah. United Healthcare will offer both Medicare Advantage plans and Medicare supplements. So
Okay.
it really is.
So would you use your AARP insurance with your Medicare,
I see where you're getting.
or is it
Uh,
standalone?
Yeah, AARP is a separate standalone uh, piece of insurance, or it's not even an insurance; it's more of a discount program because they offer
So,
lots of discount.
so when you're on Medicare, when you're getting on Medicare, you're not going to get an AARP Medicare unless it's a supplement.
Yeah, you're not gonna. AARP is completely separate from supplements or Medicare Advantage plans. AARP is a program; it's a discount program. Now,
Okay.
what can get confusing is AARP will. There are some plans out there called AARP/United Healthcare.
Hmm.
There's no extra benefits. It's just a name.
Okay. Is
Yeah.
it, are you considered to have, are there, so they would be better off just getting regular Medicare Part A, Part B than
Mm. Yeah,
AARP,
that
United Healthcare, because that's just kind of nothing.
AARP is completely different than Part A and Part B. So you can have your Part A and Part B and be a part of AARP. It's a completely different, and just think of it as a completely different organization, and it's
Okay.
just a discount program is what it is.
Okay. Okay.
But you
Because I
don't
have
have
had
to be a
people
part.
come in. I've had people come in with their AARP United Healthcare, and I'm in network with United Healthcare, and so I've always been confused about that. Even as a provider, I'm like, what does this even? I don't know what this even means. So yeah, it's been a while though. So interesting.
Yeah. Well, there is so much information out there that people can get
Yeah,
really confused by that. And
caught up in the
honestly,
weeds.
I
Mhm.
personally would probably want to look more into what AARP is now offering, because there are so many carriers. I choose to hang my hat on a handful of them. I can contract with anybody I want to,
Mhm.
but in my world, rates can go roller coastering. There are so many carriers now in the game that it's even more confusing for somebody who doesn't do it all the time. If you're just turning 65 and you're not an insurance person, I'm a licensed insurance agent and been doing this for nearly 20 years. So I still have to double check on things.
Mhm.
But there's so many carriers out there, and you may just, if you jump on just the least price right now, in a year or two from now, they could raise those rates on you outside of the norm. Rates just normally go up with age. Healthcare is a trend that just constantly goes up. But if you have a carrier who's essentially buying business early and then raising your rates way beyond what the trend for what other carriers are raising their rates by age, then you could potentially get stuck with this carrier and not
Oh
be
my
able to.
gosh.
So you want to make sure that you choose a carrier that is solid, that doesn't
Okay.
roller coaster rates on people. Um,
Uh-huh.
and so that's why I have kind of whittled it down to a handful of carriers that I know don't do that.
So ones that are you can rely on,
And once it's going
they're
to be
not
ones
gonna
that
dump
everybody's heard
stress
of.
on you,
Right.
right?
Right.
Because like we don't want more stress. Life is stressful enough as it is. Okay. And so if somebody so you could at 65, over 65, you could just renew what you have. You could go to anybody who hangs their shingle and says, consult with me. But what I'm hearing is that go to somebody who's been in there for a long time and who has seen the trends and knows which ones you can count on. And then
Yes.
you're not going to have all that drama and roller coaster ride of suddenly you owe so much more money or things aren't
Right.
covered. And so you've whittled it down to a handful that
Hmm.
you're saying I can count on these companies. And there's going to
Hmm.
be fluctuations, but it's not going to be the crazy time of some of the others. Do I have that
Yes.
right? Okay,
Yes.
that's great. So what is so something else that people get is a supplement insurance, and like I know there's Blue Cross Blue Shield, Medicare supplement, Mutual of Omaha, Aetna, other ones. What does that mean? What are those?
So the Medicare supplement is truly a supplement to your original Medicare that we talked about, the federal Medicare program, original Medicare Parts A and B, the hospital and medical. There are some gaps in those coverages, like there's a $1,600 deductible and there's a 20% essentially forever. And
Mhm.
so, like, if you have a really large claim and you're on Medicare A and B only with no other, you're not on a Medicare Advantage, you're on Medicare A and B, and you don't have a supplement. That's what usually why people buy a supplement is because they see that they're exposed to let's say you have something large happen and you
Right.
have several $100,000 in medical claims, you're going to pay 20% of that if you just have A and B. So the reason you would want to buy a supplement is that the supplement will cover that 20% for you. There are
Right.
some there are different supplements out there. The one that makes the most sense, that gives you the most coverage, and makes the most sense value wise even, is a Plan G. And it
Okay.
doesn't matter who you're with, whether it's Blue Cross or Mutual of Omaha or Aetna or Cigna or whoever. A Plan G is a Plan G on a Medicare supplement. So those internal benefits are the same across the board. Doesn't matter what carrier you're with.
Okay.
What the only differences are going to be your price, your monthly premium can fluctuate between carriers, and service. And again, the ones that I choose to recommend to people are ones that I know all give really solid service, and
Mhm.
all have generally comparable rates. Uh,
Nice.
yeah, so it really, if somebody's just comfortable with one or the other, that's, if I just hear them keep, saying mentioning, oh, hey, yeah, Mutual of Omaha, I used to have that. I had a good experience with them.
Hmm.
If they're reasonably, if they're reasonably within cost, I'll present a comparison for people to look at, and but if somebody really wants Blue Cross Blue Shield, or they really want Aetna or Cigna or whoever, uh certainly that's whatever you feel comfortable with. If you're comfortable with their service, I always let people know that it's completely different departments within these are very large carriers, all of these, and these are all the ones that I'm generally recommending, by the way, and very large carriers. So somebody who has a Blue Cross Blue Shield plan when they are under age 65, the service can be completely different when you're age 65. These
Interesting.
departments do not coordinate in any way. So
Right.
so or conversely, if you had a bad experience with
Hmm.
them, for some reason, certainly I'm not going to try to talk you into something that you don't feel comfortable with, um, but it doesn't mean that that service is going to be that way all the
Hmm.
time, or now that you're into the Medicare area, that service is going to be the same as it was under age 65, because the plans are different, and the service is going to be different.
Uh-huh.
Claims will be handled differently, all that.
Hmm.
But
Interesting.
that's the most.
That's nice to hear because I've seen people in my office have such frustration sometimes, and it's so stressful for some of them. And I'm banking on now having this conversation with you that sometimes it's the carrier that they've chosen is not
Mhm.
as uh, pleasant to work with, shall we say?
Yeah, and sometimes we can all just get. Doesn't it sometimes feel like why is it always this client that I have an issue with, or why is it always this carrier that I have an issue with? Sometimes it just feels like we're stuck in something, and sometimes
Yeah,
maybe it's just time for a change. And somebody else down the road may have a great experience with that same carrier.
right,
So it's all in our perception and our experience with them, and
right.
it's
So I
all
do have
valid.
it's all valid.
It's all valid. It's just
Yeah, I
where you're
agree.
coming from. So.
Yeah. And what you have going on. So I do have a question I kind of want to back up to because we had touched briefly on that some people want to get out of Medicare Advantage. Now,
Hmm.
my understanding based on the conversation we had is that sometimes you can get out of it, sometimes you can't get out of it. Is there kind of like a baseline? Usually you can get out when this time or not this time or something about that.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, it can matter. It matters uh, when you purchase that plan, how long you've had that Medicare Advantage plan, and where you're at. If you're where you're at in the year,
Right.
and what month you're in.
Can you give an example of a scenario that you commonly see where somebody can get
Hmm.
out of their Medicare Advantage and
Yeah,
those
we're getting ready to come up right now on the Medicare annual open enrollment period. That's
Mhm.
October 15th to December 7th. So if somebody, this is
2024 is when we're recording this. 2024.
Yes,
Okay.
2024.
Yeah.
And this is the same time every year.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Uh, it has been for since I've been doing this. So,
Okay.
uh, so that's been pretty consistent, which is good because
Yeah.
sometimes people forget. Anyway, this is the time of year when you're going to want to take a look at your Part D prescription coverage, because that falls under the same kind of scenarios where you can't just change those plans any time of the year. So this now's the time between October 15th and December 7th. Come see me, or
Right.
anybody who's a licensed agent who has experience. You want to see them. They can help you navigate and make those changes. Now's the time you could change and get out of a Medicare Advantage plan or a Part D prescription coverage plan for a January 1st effective date. So you could
Okay.
do your shopping now uh, for a January 1st change.
Hmm.
Um, Now, when let's say that somebody makes a change during this annual Medicare annual open enrollment period, then the next window they have, once they purchase that plan, then from January to March, January 1st to March 31st, they have those 3 months to determine if they want to stay in that Medicare Advantage plan. So after that, then they're not able to get out of that plan and move to another plan until the
So,
next annual
okay.
enrollment period for Medicare. So there's a Medicare annual enrollment period, and then there's a Medicare Advantage enrollment period, which is that January through March.
Interesting.
Yeah, they know that people there's a reason why there's the windows for these things because people don't always realize what they're purchasing.
Okay.
So it's very
So,
important you want to trust the person you're purchasing from too.
yeah. And not just talk to that company. Maybe
Or just
somebody
some
independent like yourself who's like, I've vetted companies. So here's
right.
based on
Well,
what
and
you're
there
looking for, this would benefit you.
goes back to that we talked about from the very beginning when somebody's before they even turn 65 they're getting bombarded with all this information. They're going to get mailers and phone calls. If they pick up one of these phone calls or call one of those mailers, they're going to call an 800 number and they're going to be
Mhm.
talking to somebody who knows where they're from, and they're not going to be able to sit in front of this person or ask Dr. Bonnie about this person,
Mhm.
and they're talking to somebody who who they don't know.
Right.
And so there's not necessarily that trust factor there, or that they can go sit across the desk from that person and get a feel for who they are.
Right.
So yeah, there's a lot of information out there, and who you talk to is important. And so we're talking about getting out of that. That's the window in which you can get out of a
Okay.
Medicare Advantage plan.
Okay. So just to kind of recap that, to enter into it is the window that we're in right now, which is October to December, whatever
Mm-hmm.
those dates were. That's where you can do just regular old Part A, Part B, or get into a supplement or get into a Advantage.
Mm-hmm.
So Part A or Part B, Part A, Part B, or Advantage would be the two options. And
Mm-hmm.
then as you go forward, that's effective January 1st. And then within the first 3 months of the year, January 1st to the end of March, if you realize that you made a mistake, you can get out of the Advantage in that period.
Mm-hmm.
But
You
after
can
that,
go
you're on it until the next January.
right. You
Okay.
could you could drop that coverage
Mm-hmm.
and then try to go back to Medicare A and B if they'll allow you, but you won't be able to pick up any kind of supplement. So you're kind of putting
Okay.
yourself at an exposure. So there are other conversations to be had about somebody's tolerance for risk and all those things. But
Okay.
as far as being able to have any kind of, whether it's a Medicare Advantage or a Medicare supplement plan, there are
Mhm.
times when you have to purchase those.
Okay. So
Your
really
A and
it's
B,
best to consult with somebody is what I'm
it
hearing.
it
Like it's
really
like
is.
so confusing. Yeah.
Right. And we want
Yeah.
to try, I know one of the goals here was to try to help, after you and I talked a little bit, and
Uh-huh.
it was trying to help give some people peace of mind, give them
Yeah.
enough information that they have peace of mind. And then they also, if they want to have kind of a person they can connect with. And,
Yeah.
um, but truly that is the kind of the bottom line answer is, yeah, here's some information to hopefully help you, you know, feel a
If you're
little
a do it
more.
yourselfer type. Yeah. And
Yes, feel a little more comfortable. But the answer is you really should utilize it. It doesn't cost. You should utilize a
I was
licensed
going to
agent.
ask that. How much does it cost for them to see you? What is
Hey,
your fee?
my tagline is it doesn't cost them anything to use my services. I get paid through the
Okay.
carrier. It doesn't cost them anything, but it could cost them a lot if they don't.
Right. Yeah. There you go.
So
There you go. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay. So the trick is to get in to see you. That's the challenge because
it gets
I
busy.
have, yeah, because I know one other person who, no, I knew a couple other people, and the
Yeah.
window is open right now, and they're almost impossible to get in touch with unless you've been a client of theirs for years and are getting together to
Mm-hmm.
reassess. So, so I think now we could give somebody the word where they can jump to the front of the line with you.
Oh my gosh, we didn't talk about that. Do you have
We
a
didn't
code
talk
name?
about let's let's call it expert help. That's your code word is expert help.
Okay.
Okay, because
Doesn't
on
matter
here
if
I
it's
have
uppercase or lowercase, just expert
doesn't
help.
expert help. And you can even say, I'm looking for expert help. And then I don't think people use that phrase when they see you, right? That's not something people usually say.
No.
No. Okay, good.
Expert help.
Expert help. So that is your code word. So that reach out to
Oh,
Tim, and I'll have the information underneath this video because I'm going to put this on YouTube. So I'll have the information on there for your phone number. Would you prefer that they call you or email you? What's the best way to reach you?
whatever they're most comfortable with. I actually give out my cell phone number. It's a working cell, so if
Okay.
that's how if somebody wants to talk, I have they can use my direct line, if office line. They can use my cell. They can email me, so they can
Okay. Well,
text,
why
call,
don't you go?
email.
I'll have that information below, but why don't you go
Yeah,
ahead and give those numbers right now because somebody might be sitting there with a pen and ready to write it down. So, what
yeah.
is your phone number?
All right. So I'm gonna give them all the phone numbers.
Okay.
The general phone number for our agency is 618-997-1802. 618-997-1802. You're gonna reach the front office. Just ask for Tim or
And you
expert
should
help and
tell
Medicare.
the front desk that you're looking for expert help, and Tim will give the front desk that code word so that you get that message right away. Okay.
Yes.
And then
You can call my direct office line, and that is 618-351-3230. 618-351-3230. That's a direct
okay.
line right to my office.
Okay.
So my office phone, if I happen to be away from my office, it will ring two or three times, and then if I don't pick up, it'll come right to my cell phone.
Okay. Perfect.
But I'm also going to give you my cell phone. It's 618
Okay.
889 6500.
Okay.
618
Wonderful.
889 6500. That's right to my cell phone. You can text to that. You can call me there.
Okay. All right. So I'll have all that information for everybody below. And thank you so much for agreeing to be interviewed today. I hope this does alleviate some of the stress for people about Medicare and everything that it means. And it's great having you as a local resource here. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Bonnie.
Okay. All right. Bye, everybody. Remember to like and subscribe. Have a great
Expert
day.
help.
Expert help. That's the code. Okay. Bye.
Bye.